You know, this was an interesting football weekend. One of the funnest football weekends that I have experienced in a while because it was just joy all over the place. And a lot of people think I am taking joy um, in the Ravens losing to the Titans. Which yes, I do take a little joy in that. I'm not gonna lie, but it's not just that. It's also the Texans blowing that 24-point lead in what 14 minutes and just never even coming close to coming back. But let's talk about the Baltimore Ravens and what happened in their game. And I think what happened to their season. And I think they are a prime candidate and a prime example of just something unfortunate that happens in sports a lot to some of the best teams. Sometimes teams tend to peak and play their best football that they're going to play that season just a little bit too early. And for the Ravens, it happened just a little bit too early. Um, they were playing unstoppable football for about 10, 11, 12 weeks, just unstoppable football. And then unfortunately, they had a few weeks off. And, I could kind of see this coming, but, it's just one of those things where you've won a lot of games in a row. You played so much good football in a row that, ultimately you're due up for a bad game eventually. And it really sucks when that bad game is in the playoffs because there is no way to get that back. So it makes you look bad. People are going to make all these jokes about the Ravens choking. I made the jokes about the Ravens choking. But, honestly, I don't think it's really reflective of this team. I just think they unfortunately played their best football just a couple weeks too early. And they happen to play a Titans team that is playing their best football of the year. And the combination of those two tidal waves passing each other um, left a unfortunate mark on the Baltimore Ravens in what was a fantastic season for them. I don't think this has any bearing, obviously, on Lamar being the MVP because it's a regular season award. Guys in the NBA like James Harden win MVP, and they're terrible in the postseason. And Lamar doesn't have that kind of a history in the postseason yet. He hasn't accumulated that kind of a history yet. But it's just it's unfortunate to see everything Lamar Jackson did and prove people wrong on. People are now trying to tear it apart the second he had a bad game. He had a bad game. Lamar had a bad game. One bad game the whole season. Lamar had one bad game, maybe two. He had a bad game in Cleveland too, but he had two bad games the whole season. That is fantastic. There's not another quarterback in the NFL that's only had two bad games, and they're debatably bad. You can make the argument they aren't, but they're bad games. And that is remarkable and that is MVP worthy. So I don't think anything should be taken away from Lamar just because he lost one. Like he had a bad game. Of course, it was a playoff game. It's a terrible point to have that. But the guy's still young. It's his second year in the playoffs. Um, you know, I don't think this is going to be his thing. I don't think he's going to continue to choke in the playoffs. I just he doesn't seem like that kind of a guy. It just seemed unfortunate what happened to the Ravens. They played their best football. They had peaked. They were on the decline, and the Titans came to this game red hot and just beat them. And that's just football. Sometimes this is how it works. It's any given Sunday. It's why you play the game. And for the Ravens, that was the first bad game since September. How can you blame a team like their first bad game since September? I was kind of nervous for Raven fans when I saw that they were going to carry this momentous win streak into the postseason. And a part of me, the Browns fan in me, thought that's not good. That much positive momentum and that much winning, it's down to crash some point. That's how I think about it as a Browns fan, because I'm used to those things happening. And, unfortunately, that happened for the Baltimore Ravens. But, if Raven fans watching this, keep your head up. It might be a tight race for the division next year with the Browns hopefully getting somebody competent at the coaching and Joe Burrow coming to the Bengals. And who knows what happens with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But, it was a very, very fun season for you guys. You guys were the talk of the league. And, don't let the ending of this season kind of ruined how special the season was during its run, is I guess is what I'm trying to say. Now let's talk about the Titans. I said they were playing their best ball. And one thing that strikes me about the Titans is that they play a lot like what we hoped the Browns would play like. Like they'd have the offense that we hoped Freddie Kitchens would bring in. Run heavy, play action, deep shots out. Like that's what we wanted the Browns to do with Odell Beckham. It's the Freddie Kitchens offense that we dreamed of. That's what they ran there. And that's why they had so much success against Baltimore, because when the Browns, the only other team that beat the Ravens is badly, I think the Browns even beat them worse than what the Titans did to them. But was the Browns, and that was the one time they lived up to the hype, the one time they played to their potential, and the one time they played with the same offense that they had in 2018, and came out guns blazing. They got a couple points up. The Ravens forced a couple turnovers, and, they forced the Ravens to get out of their comfort zone and have to do a lot of dropbacks. And, Lamar Jackson is not a great passer. He's a good passer so far. He has moments of greatness, no doubt, but he's not the kind of passer that if you're down 21, he's just going to Patrick Mahomes you back into the game. He's not there at that level yet. He could very well get to that level, and when he does, or if he does, that will be scary. But, right now, that's where you can kind of take advantage of him. And that's not a blueprint, because only 2 teams this season have ever been able to successfully do that against him. That's just the matchups, the momentum, and just bad luck for the Ravens at some points. Good football by the Titans. And Mike Vrabel should get a ton of credit. And he's not a Bill Belichick guy, by the way. I think he played for Bill Belichick, but when do we ever count that under a coaching tree? But he's not a Bill Belichick guy. And he just seems to be able to have his own spin to what he learned from Bill O'Brien and at Ohio State. And he just really seems to have it together and just seems like a really great coach. And I think the Titans' future is great with him as the head coach for a long time to come, because he is still young, very energetic. They got themselves a great head coach in Tennessee. So they're going to have, some good years to come there. But that's kind of my thoughts on the situation when it comes to what happened to the Ravens. I think a lot of people are going to say somebody figured them out or that they got a blueprint. I don't think that's the truth. I think just football happened. Football, sometimes you can have a ton of positive momentum coming in. You're hot, and, the other team is starting to cool off a little bit, and you meet at the wrong time. And I think that's just what happened to the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar played his worst game of the season, or one of his worst games of the season, at the absolute wrong time, and sometimes that happens, even to the greatest of players. So it's going to be interesting to see how good the Titans can be going forward in the playoffs, and just how good they're going to be next year. Is Ryan Tannehill still going to be this Ryan Tannehill? Is Derrick Henry going to still be running better than he did at Alabama in the NFL? Like, these are serious questions that we can ask, but it's going to be a interesting landscape for the NFL going forward. And I think the Browns next year play Tennessee in Tennessee, so that should be fun. But again, let me know your thoughts on it. Do you think the Titans were just that good? Do you think the Ravens were just declining at the wrong time? Do you think they peaked too early? Let me know in the comment section down below. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding that notification bell so you can be notified when I upload. And have a great day. Have a good night.